Now, the Sixth Amendment. The Sixth Amendment guarantees to every person the right of a speedy and public trial. A speedy and public trial. So, why should a trial be speedy? Why do we want it to be a speedy trial? What was that?
It costs a lot of money.
Because it costs a lot of money. There's a more important reason.
So they can't put you in a gulag.
Yeah. Basically, you could be innocent. You didn't do it. So we're trying to avoid handcuffing you, putting you in jail. We leave you down in the dungeon for 5 years. Finally, because the wheels of justice move slowly, we drag you up out of the dungeon. We bring you out in front of the judge, and the witness goes, "Oh, that's not the person. That's not her. What happened to the 5 years that you just sat waiting for your trial? Can you ever get that time back?" No. So anybody can file a lawsuit. You can be accused of anything, whether you're innocent or not. But there is a possibility that you're innocent. And the goal is to infringe upon your liberty as minimally as possible. We want to get this over and done with, because if you're innocent, you need to be allowed to go back and pursue happiness your way. Now, what about public? Why would you want the trial to be public? You know, you want everybody airing your dirty laundry out. You know, we're going to have you on television, and you're going to be going over why you were wearing that kind of a dress at that particular hour. You want to have a public listening to all that? Why is a trial supposed to be public?
Star chamber government.
To avoid star chambers. What is a star chamber?
Like the judge, jury, and executioner all in one.
That's right. We grab you, we take you behind closed doors, and we hear punching and ouching and chairs breaking and screaming and bamboo under the fingernails. And an hour later I come back and go, "Well, he's guilty. Now he's dead." Do you feel warm and secure that we've had swift justice? Does that make you feel good about your judicial system? How does that make you feel?
Terrible.
Why?
Because you didn't get due process.
Because you could be next. I mean, it's bad enough that the other guy is dead, but what's to distinguish him from me? Right now, we've got the Military Commissions Act. All the President or the Department of Defense has to do is label you an enemy combatant. You are an enemy combatant. Purple sweaters are enemy combatant day. And so you can be dragged off to Guantanamo Bay with no phone call, no lawyer, with no indictment for an indefinite period of time. Because you were an enemy combatant. Does that sound like freedom and liberty to you? Does that sound like a United States dedicated to freedom? That sounds like a third world country to me. That sounds like an excuse that we would give for sending our troops in and blowing up somebody else's buildings. We've got all these troops over in Iraq so we can have free and open elections. Hell, I'd love to have those troops come back so we can have free and open elections in the United States. But the idea is that we have speedy and public trials so the government doesn't get carried away. So the government doesn't go out and violate somebody else's rights. We, the people, are supposed to be watching each other and protecting each other from the government. And we get a notice in the mail, it's like, "Oh man, I got jury duty. Son of a... That was the weekend of my ball game. I'm going to go play softball." And so what? You sit out and you give your little written excuse, and they let you off the hook? "Oh man, whew, man, this is the big playoff week too." How do you think the person who is on trial feels? There was a comedian that I used to listen to who said the thing that scares him the most is being tried by a jury of people too stupid to get off jury duty. I mean, I've been to some trials. I went to a trial in Pennsylvania. It was an IRS tax case. I am not exaggerating or elaborating. The jury was asleep. They didn't care. They deliberated for all of 30 minutes because it was a Friday and they wanted to get the hell out of there. You're guilty. I'm going home. Is that justice? Is that the kind of liberty and justice that you want? Imagine yourself accused of something that you are not guilty of. You are absolutely not guilty, but somebody's accused you of it. And now you have to defend yourself. And you got 12 people over there in the jury box dozing off. Rights and responsibilities are the same thing. They are opposite sides of the same coin. If you want freedom and liberty, if you want a fair trial, then you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility to serve your jury duty with pride, because you can do jury nullification. You can sit there and pay attention and go, that's a stupid law. You go, yeah, but it's on paper. I don't care. It's a stupid law. I'm not going to send somebody to jail for parting their hair on the wrong side. It's a stupid law.
But don't mention jury nullification in front of the court, because they'll kick you out of there so fast and make your head spin.
Well, again, I teach an 8-hour class and we go into law, and people are usually, I mean, this is really an Alice in Wonderland aspect of our government. But we have the right to this jury trial. You have a right to the assistance of counsel for your defense. You have the assistance of counsel. Now, if someone is assisting you, who's in charge? You are. I'm the mechanic, and you're going to be my apprentice. You're going to be assisting me. Hammer, screwdriver, pliers. You're assisting me. I'm the one who's doing it. So you have the right to have someone assist you in your defense. So then who would be in charge of your defense? You are. Because you've memorized the Bill of Rights. You understand what your rights are. Who is going to defend your rights more passionately than you are? Nobody. So the court system will say, well, we'll assign you an attorney. That's not what I want. Assistance of counsel for my defense is not the same as a court-appointed attorney, because that just automatically puts me into your statutory system. If I go to, if I want to take a 5-year-old and enroll them in school, okay, I pick the school, I pick the teachers, I pick the classes that they're going to take. The 5-year-old doesn't do that. The 5-year-old is incompetent to do that. I do that. As soon as you hire an attorney, as far as the law is concerned, you are incompetent in the eyes of the law. You may as well be 5 years old, and the judge and your attorney are going to make your decisions for you. They're going to make decisions about your life because you are not capable of doing so. The property damaged. Police officer pulls you over, you know, ask the police officer, is this a criminal case or a civil case? And if it's a criminal case, did I drive over a mailbox? Is there a dead pedestrian in the last crosswalk someplace? Where's the violation of property? And if there's no body, there's no destroyed property, then it must be a civil case. And if it is a civil case, there's got to be a contract involved. Got to be a contract. I'm sorry. You know, where's the contract? Is this your signature on the back of the driver's license? Yeah, well, there's the contract. You have contracted with the government to engage in commerce, and that contract requires you to follow all of their laws.
So in other words, if you really are driving without a driver's license, you're better off.
As far as I'm concerned. Which is why I do that. I don't have a driver's license. Anytime the government gives you permission, Anytime the government gives you permission to do something, they let you know that you have permission by giving you a permit or a license. You get a concealed carry permit. You get a driver's license. Let me ask a few hypothetical questions. If you have a marriage license, what do you have permission to do now that you didn't have permission to do before? Who gave you that permission? And where did they get the authority to give you permission in the first place? Did Thomas Jefferson have a marriage license? No. George Washington, did he have a marriage license? No. So if they didn't have marriage licenses, and marriage licenses are ubiquitous today, that begs the question, where was the first marriage license issued? Where did marriage licenses start? Well, roughly 1850, just before the Civil War, we've got black people and white people living in the South. Can two white people live together and make babies? Sure, they're white. They have rights and they can do anything they want with their property. How about two black people? Can two black people live together and make babies? Well, I mean, they really had no control over where they lived. And if they had babies together, it was almost an accident. We considered it animal husbandry. Now think back to 1850. Can you have a white person and a black person? Can a white person and a black person live together and make babies in 1850? Oh my God, don't even think about it. I mean, if we allow a mixing of the races, I mean, society will crumble. Life as we know it will come to an end. Won't it? No. You have white people and black people living together, Irish and Jewish, you name the combinations, and we've got families, the children are beautiful, everybody is happy. The world's not going to come to an end. Marriage licenses, if you look in Black's Law Dictionary, were privileges given by the state for people who intend to intermarry. So a black person only had privileges. A black person had to get permission to marry the white person. But that was so we could deny you permission. No, you can't marry the white person. Marriage licenses started out based on racial bigotry. The good news, of course, is that was 150 years ago. And we've gotten rid of those nasty marriage licenses for black people, haven't we? No. Now, instead of freeing the black people, now we've enslaved the white people. You went out and you asked the government for permission. Why? Did you ask me for permission? Did you call me and say, hey, I see this guy, I really like him, I'd like to go out with him? You know, want your permission? Did you ask your mother for permission? If your mother said, sweetheart, I'm not really happy about the person you're with, I think that you really need to terminate that relationship, would you go back and say, well, darling, I guess we have to, end it. Mama doesn't like you? Or would you tell Mama to take you off the Christmas list? If you won't let your mother determine who you live with, why would you ask the government for permission? We have gotten off on this tangent of just asking, that's the way we've always done it. No, it's not the way we've always done it. George Washington didn't do it that way. Thomas Jefferson didn't do it that way. And I sure as hell am not going to do it that way. I don't need the government's permission. I don't need the government's permission to get married. I don't need the government's permission to travel. I don't need the government's permission to keep and bear arms.
Except in Illinois.
I don't need the government's permission to keep and bear arms, period. Police officer in Illinois comes up to me and says, Mr. Bednarik, you're not allowed to carry a gun in Illinois. I'd like to have it, please. Certainly. As soon as you give me yours. You think the police officer is going to give me their gun? Probably not. And so I'm going to tell the officer, whatever logic, whatever excuse you're using to not give me your gun, I'm using the same excuse. It would be dangerous to be a police officer without a gun. It's even more dangerous to be an Illinois citizen without a gun because you got the Illinois police running around. There are two groups of people in the world. Those of us who believe that you have a right to life, you have a right to defend that life, and you have a right to use a firearm to defend that life if that's what you think is the best and most efficient way to do it. The other group of people think that guns are inherently dangerous. The only reason to buy a gun is because you're planning to commit murder or rob a bank. Or be a police officer, which these days is pretty much the same thing. Now, at this stage of the game, those two groups are having philosophical debates. As soon as it becomes more than a debate, my team wins. Because we got guns. I don't carry a gun on a regular basis anymore. I mean, the presidential campaign, the congressional campaign, it just kind of got out of the habit. But I do carry a gun. And if I am ever stopped by a police officer, you'll probably see me on the news because I will not give up my gun to anybody. I don't give a flying flip what color costume you're wearing. I don't care what badge you have. You have no authority to do that. Does a police officer... How far are we going to allow our American government to go? We've already got the Patriot Act, which eliminates the Fourth and Sixth Amendment. We've already got the Military Commissions Act, which George Bush declares eliminates the right of habeas corpus. Habeas corpus is Latin for show me the body. If you get thrown in jail, your friends and your neighbors can file a writ of habeas corpus, and the government has to tell you which jail you're in. They got to tell us what you're accused of so we can start to, build your defense. And in many cases, we can actually get you out of jail. The Military Commissions Act eliminates the right of habeas corpus. Legally, in this country, the Secret Service can come in and take you out of your home at 2 o'clock in the morning and disappear you into the middle of the night. And we never hear from you again. Don't you think that's a little bit over the line? Doesn't that fill you with horror? And we sit here reading the newspaper at breakfast, watching the news. Oh, my Cubs won today. Oh my gosh. You're worried about the Cubs